Hello friends, welcome back to CCSP certified channel. My name is Rag and I'm gonna cover today very important topic, this cryptography. And in this lecture I will cover basic concepts, and in next lecture I will cover more advanced concepts. And it is very important and testable topic, not only in ISC2 exams like CCSP, CISSP, but in your day-to-day professional life also. This topic and concepts are being used quite frequently and they are not very easy to understand. So I will try to explain them in more layman language, more friendly examples, and I hope by end of this lecture you will understand this topic and able to solve some of the questions of CCSP with the help of this, and can apply this in your day-to-day jobs, security jobs also. So there are three concepts. One is confidentiality, second is integrity, and third one is non-repudiation. Whole cryptography lies on these three concepts only. The first concept, confidentiality, is just the secret should not be shown or told to unauthorized people. The integrity is to ensure that the system and its data has not suffered unauthorized modifications, and non-repudiation is the source authentication. So these three topics I explained with some of the examples. So I would like to tell one story to you. So like you might have listened these stories in your past or in your childhood, that long time ago there was a king, and at the time their communication mode was not established. Only either you send a messenger or you use kabutar and sending the data or sending the message. So the confidentiality is to ensure that the content of the message is not being read by anyone in between. Only the receiver who received this should able to read this one. So they used to use either some code words like khulja sim sim or some hidden ink to write those messages if they are confidential messages. To maintain the integrity is just, it is not been modified. So confidentiality is just to looking into that. So someone has read it, this is a confidentiality, but someone has modified this, it is integrity. It's like someone has removed one line or someone has added additional line. Simple like someone has changed the position of the comma. Let's say roko mat jane do, roko mat jane do. So it has a different meaning just by switching a comma in between. So similarly, the integrity is just a modification, unauthorized modification of the data. Confidentiality is reading the secret, and non-repudiation is the sender. Is the authorized person who has sent the message. So एक कहानी सुनाता हूँ मैं आप लोगों को. एक राजा को अपने मैसेंजर पे शक हुआ कि ही इज नॉट प्लेइंग वेल, या तो करप्ट हो चुका है, बिक चुका है, और उसकी परीक्षा लेने की सोची. सो ही हैज रिटन वन मैसेज एंड मैसेज इज रिटन इन दी हिडन इंक ताकि वो पढ़ा ना जा सके, और मैसेज का पूरा कंटेंट एक इन्वेलप में पैक करके सील कर दिया गया. इन्वेलप में पैक किया गया है ताकि वो मॉडिफाई नहीं किया जा सके, इंटीग्रिटी मेंटेन हो, वो सील हो क्योंकि वो सोर्स ऑथेंटिकेशन मैनेज हो. एंड ही इज बीइंग आस्क्ड टू गिव दिस मैसेज टू द सेनापति. तो सेनापति को मैसेज दिया, सेनापति ने मैसेज रीड किया. उस पर लिखा हुआ था कि जो भी ये मैसेज लेके आए उसको गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाए. कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी थी मैसेज की. सेनापति ने इंक को, हिडन इंक को आँख के सामने रखा, पढ़ा और देखा कि देयर इज नो मॉडिफिकेशन क्योंकि इन्वेलप क्लोज है, राजा की तरफ से आया है क्योंकि प्रॉपर सील लगी हुई है जो राजा ही लगा सकते हैं. तो कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी मेंटेन हुई इंक से. इंटीग्रिटी मेंटेन हुई कि वो मॉडिफाइड नहीं हो सकता बिकॉज इट वाज अंदर इन्वेलप. और नॉन रेपुटेशन हुआ कि वो राजा की सील लगी हुई थी. देन सेनापति हैज कैप्चर्ड मैसेंजर एंड ब्रिंग हिम टू द किंग. किंग बिकम वेरी हैप्पी बिकॉज उसने परीक्षा पास कर ली थी. यदि उसने मैसेज पढ़ लिया होता तो वो कभी भी सेनापति के पास नहीं जाता। यदि उसने पढ़ के मॉडिफाई कर लिया होता तो कंटेंट चेंज होता कि सेनापति को वो मैसेज मिलता कि जो भी मैसेज लेके आए उसे 100 रुपये दे दो, सम रिवार्ड दे दो, रादर देन कैप्चर कर लो। एंड वो सोर्स ऑथेंटिकेशन मैनेज हुआ राजा की सील से था कि किसी और ने भेजा नहीं। तो ही पास द एग्जाम, उसने परीक्षा पास करी एंड राजा गिव हिम अवार्ड, बट दिस इज डिफरेंट स्टोरी. But how the confidentiality, integrity, non-repudiation is being used since past, that we can see in this example. So how in cryptography we achieve this confidentiality, integrity, non-repudiation? This I comes to now the next. So confidentiality, to achieve the confidentiality, the solution is encryption. So कभी भी ये पूछा जाए एग्जाम में या कहीं पे भी इंडस्ट्री में, if I want to make sure the data is remain confidential, no one can read it, this is the password, this is the Aadhaar number, this is secret, that should not be read by anyone or unauthorized person at least, then the solution is encryption. Which encryption we will use, we will go next, but the solution of the confidentiality is encryption. So in exam, in CCSP exam, you will able to give answer of many of the questions by just with this slide only. I just will show some question after this slide. So the next is integrity. So the solution of the integrity is hashing algorithms. What hashing algorithms do? They make sure the data or the source has proper integrity. So like the integrity of the virtual image, the integrity of the baseline configuration, the integrity of the logs, the integrity of the data. If someone asks about the integrity, the solution is hashing. If someone asks about the confidentiality of the data, confidentiality of the logs, the solution is encryption. Now the third is non-repudiation. The solution is digital signature. So signature, like the signature you do on the checkbooks, sort of the digital signature, which makes sure that you are the one who is claiming that, let's say you go to bank, you give the checkbook, signed check to withdraw some money, they validate your signature. This is a non-repudiation. So tomorrow if you come to bank and say that I did not withdraw the money, then they have that we have matched your signature, you are the one who has come to us, and then we have given money to you. So these three concepts are quite important and quite easy to remember. And let's see one example. There's a CCSP questions that I have seen in my test paper. So I just try to show that many of these questions will come this way and can be solved via these concepts. Let's say they ask that CEO decided to move some of their critical application, on-premise applications to cloud, but they want to manage the logs by their SIM system. There's an on-premise SIM system. SIM is the log management system, events and log management system. So they want that the critical logs from that applications go back to SIM systems. So what is our suggestions to maintain the confidentiality of the logs? So now they are asking about the confidentiality, like no one can see the logs in between when they comes from cloud to the on-premise. So definitely the option should be encryption. So as I mentioned in my lecture 1, that you will able to identify two options that will be best to use, and two options you can remove just by the concepts. So if there is no encryption in the answer, you can remove those options. That definitely those will not be our answer. So there will be answer that must be having the encryption, because I want to maintain the confidentiality of the logs because they are going over the internet. What would be the right answer of this question? I will go back to that later. But today my focus is to understand the concept, explain the concept first. So I will explain the questions later. So confidentiality will be ensured by encryption mechanisms. Now there are two types of encryption mechanisms. One is symmetric, one is asymmetric. Symmetric is hope you guys have seen symmetric algorithms in your industry. And the basic concept of all the algorithm is the encryption algorithm is known. Algorithm is tried and tested. Industry known algorithms. Only key that play the bigger role. the key that provides the ensure that the algorithms or the data is safe. So when the sender and receiver both share the key, it is a symmetric key algorithms. So it is one single key. The secret key is same. So many times they ask question, then in the symmetric key algorithms, key are divided, key are generated differently. They are all wrong. Key must be same. It is passed or being shared. The secret being shared between the sender and receiver. How it is being shared, what is the mechanism, so we'll cover later. But one of few examples are AES, DES, 3DS, and the important point to remember, they only provide confidentiality. So out of three concepts, they only provide the confidentiality. They cannot provide the integrity. They cannot provide the non-repudiation. Why? I will explain this in the advanced lectures. But symmetric key is a single key, and the key, how the key get passed, that will be a question later. But let's say there is a key and secret being shared by sender and receiver, the plain text being encrypted with the help of key, and there is some algorithms that being used, and there one ciphertext, that is non-human readable text, it is being converted and then decrypted again by the key. So all the cryptography algorithms use a key. Now asymmetric key algorithms, here the key pairs are in the picture. Like I have a one key that is public key, and one key is a private key, and similarly sender has a public key and private key, and my public key is known to me only, receiver's public key is known to him only, where both my private key is known to me only, receiver's private key is known to receiver only, but both public keys available globally over the internet or over the CS. How they are managing it is a later point, but the concept is similarly like you have an email address and password. So sender has an email address, receiver has an email address, but the password of the sender email ID is known to sender only. Let's say Bob email address is known to everyone, but Bob password is known to Bob only. Same way Alice email address is known to everyone, but Alice password is known to Alice only. This is a private key. So if you notice this, when the encryption happens here, it all happens on the receiver's public key. There is no Bob is a sender. There is no role Bob's public key or private key play in the encryption. Remember, in encryption there is no role of sender's public key or private key. Many times they ask these questions. The receiver's so message is being encrypted by the key. Key is a public key of the receiver, and when it reach, the receiver uses this private key to decrypt it. The few known algorithms are RSA, Diffie-Hellman, ECC are the example of the public key and private key algorithms. So they are the major difference. I'm going to cover this this is the last I'm going to cover today in this lectures. What are the difference and what should be used and why should be used? So as we have seen, the symmetric key has a problem of sharing the key. So the key must be shared securely out of bound. Means some offline mechanism way key should be shared. If new person comes, then the addition of the key, either we have to regenerate new key to be shared between three, and then the key distribution is one of the problem. Again, the symmetric key cannot provide the integrity and non-repudiation. It can provide only the confidentiality. In other words, asymmetric key algorithms, if a new user addition of the new user is quite easy. Just generate a one key pair, public key, private key for new user. Same way it can be removed easily by removing his key, but it is not in the case of symmetric key. Key generation only required when the private keys get compromised of that particular user. But in case of symmetric key regeneration may be required when new user get added or removed or the key get compromised. So it is a little complex than the asymmetric key. Asymmetric key, as we have seen, can provide the confidentiality, integrity, and non-repudiation. How they can provide, I will tell it later. But assume that it can provide all three, and symmetric key can be provide only confidentiality. And the only reason that because of the two key pair, integrity and non-repudiation is possible, that we'll cover later. But then still, these are the disadvantage of the symmetric key, why we use the symmetric key. And as one more disadvantage of symmetric key is a non-repudiation. As mentioned, it cannot be achieved by the symmetric key. Let's say if I have sent a message that let's say PM has sent a message to the Senapati that attack on Pakistan, and when they do that, later they can deny that I did not send it, because the key is being shared between you also and me also, and let's say chief secretaries also. The same key is being shared. Someone has shared it by saying it is coming from PM side. So non-repudiation is not possible to achieve in case of symmetric key. Then why we still use a symmetric key? Because symmetric key algorithms, because of the speed and the industry usability and the simplicity. So it is 1000 or 10,000 times faster than asymmetric key because of its shorter key length, relative simplicity compared to the asymmetric key algorithms. So industry use symmetric key also because of the speed. And the best example is TLS and SSL. SSL is old secure socket layer data in transition or data in movement algorithm mechanisms, but we are use TLS now. TLS is transport layer security algorithms, and they use symmetric and asymmetric both, symmetric and asymmetric algorithm both to exchange the data. So they use first asymmetric mechanisms to set up the symmetric keys, because symmetric key need to be set up between the sender and receiver. So either they have to use out of band mechanism like offline mode, or if the over the wire online mode, they can use asymmetric key algorithms to send the symmetric keys.